The standings, and this is the situation for the Pacers in the 7th spot. The 2 games make it 2.5 now from Orlando just to beat Toronto. But look at the crowd behind Indiana. Going from 7 to 11, Miami, that's a game-and-a-half difference, all vying for those last 2 playoff spots. Every game now, even more crucial with just 20 games to go. And the Pacers also, who are trying to make an attempt to get into the playoffs, also, if they get in, will have to face, as it looks now, either Jersey, Boston, Detroit, or Milwaukee. And so far, they have won 1 of 11 games against those 4 top teams in the East. And today would be a great day to begin to deliver the message as they try to knock off Detroit, who actually has lost 2 of their last 3 games, starting to feel the fatigue of the long season and really playing over their heads. A team of cast-offs that have been put together by Joe Dumars and Rick Carlisle. And along with the Nets, the surprise teams in the East. Here is Clifford Robertson inside, ripped down by O'Neal. Pacers 0-2 against the Pistons, but both close games, and Indiana without O'Neal. So they got Jermaine back into this one and hope that that makes the difference. And it is O'Neal right on cue.
Jermaine looking to get himself started right away offensively, steps into a shot in a semi-break situation from right below the top of the key.
Stackhouse, quick release. And it'll be Indiana ball. Bennett Salvatore blowing the whistle, working today with Monty McCutcheon and Leroy Richardson. So Stackhouse, who is shooting less, scoring less, and enjoying it more. He's really stepped up as the leader on the floor and getting everybody else involved. But he has been hurting with assorted injuries. And there is Ron Artest getting his 3rd consecutive start with Jonathan Bender working off the bench, and the Pacers, who have lost the first 2 games of this trip in Memphis and in Philly, off to a 4-0 lead. Atkins just wind him up, and he'll be looking for the shot. He was the high man in Detroit's loss against Boston the other night. He had 5 3-pointers and scored 17, but the Pistons were smashed in Boston Friday by 25, one of their worst defeats of the season. Brad Miller, who toughed it out as a Bull against the Pistons on many occasions. Great pass by Tinsley, and Miller slides it in.
Nice read by Tinsley, wide open because Wallace left him, but a good catch by Miller to be able to get it in because Robinson tried to block the shot from the backside.
This concludes the stretch of 7 of 8 games on the road for Indiana. Return home Tuesday against Golden State, before they're back on the road just for Singleton Friday in Minnesota. Brad Miller makes the move on Wallace, got the step. Wallace, the top shot blocker, is harassing Miller into that miss.
He will harass him. Wallace is a great athlete and will do the dirty work. And I didn't think he should be able to catch that. He just threw the ball in the air.
Artest also able to harass on defense, and right now glued to Jerry Stackhouse. 6-2 start for the Pacers. Looking to move to within 1 of 500. Tinsley off the screen, got it. And Jamal Tinsley starting to become more proficient with his outside shot. 28 against Memphis, to 30 against Orlando. And Rick Carlisle, because we're giving up too much too early and never able to dig out of the hole. So the Pacers, with a hot shooting, lead it 8-2 in the opening few minutes. Have hit 4 of their 6 shots, and Reggie Miller hasn't even touched the ball yet.
Been able to get a lot of the people involved, which I think is good early. Nice pass there from Jamal Tinsley to Brad Miller. Then screen and roll. It's hard for you to get away from Jermaine O'Neal, and when you don't, you leave someone open to take a shot and hopefully make the shot. It was Tinsley on the screen and roll, which is very unusual based upon the way he played in college. Not a lot of screen and roll action there. He's learning how to take advantage of that.
Pacers have 4 field goals. Tinsley has 1. He's assisted on 2 others. Detroit scores 93 points per ball game. They are not one of the high-scoring teams, and Rick Carlisle wants to keep the game in the 80s and the 90s, and so far he is not delighted with the fast pace by the Pacers here. Tinsley, cross court. Artest heaves. And there is Cliff Robinson, the veteran, in his 13th season. You know, this starting lineup of the Pistons, they have 3 players who are undrafted in the NBA, in Wallace, Curry, and Atkins. Robinson was a second-round pick. The dish to Curry, who flies in.
How about that from Wallace, who's not a guy you normally would even think of double teaming. Reggie with a nice pass. Artest on the backside running.
So Artest has a couple of quick baskets. Pacers off to the 10-4 lead. Indiana feels confident that if O'Neal had played those first couple of games, they would be leading this series 2-0. Trying to drive a point home here tonight. There is Wallace, not known for his scoring. He does, though, accumulate 7 points per ball game, but he averages 12 rebounds and also became the 3rd Piston in franchise history to block 200 shots in a season. Tinsley has it. Here's Robinson into the hands of Atkins, who came over with Wallace from Orlando, and he streaks by everybody.
Yeah, I think Jamal may have gotten poked in the eye a little bit because he was trying to get his eye. As a matter of fact, he just passed the ball to Reggie just to get it out of his hands. But at this point, it's time to get it in Reggie's hands to get a shot.
Pistons lost Grant Hill, of course, in a sign and trade to Orlando, but they're quite happy with the results. Well, they stay with Artest there. Now it is Stackhouse weaving. Atkins for 3.
Got challenged by Tinsley.
And back the other way. So the Pacers, for the moment, have Detroit playing their game. Artest, another heave. Miller breaks through.
Nice job by Miller, because Jerry Stackhouse was trying to grab him off the rebound so he would make sure that Miller couldn't put it back.
Pacers hold the lead. Kevin Ollie is getting ready to come in for Tinsley, and may still be bothered by the poke in the eye. Artest continues to attach himself to Stackhouse, and then it is Curry exploding. So Detroit finding the open man, and Curry, who averages 4 a game, has 4 in the first 6 minutes. And Detroit hanging in. The Pistons have won 20 of their 29 home games. 2 men on Miller, and Wallace and Curry, 2 defensive specialists, making sure Reggie unable to get that shot up. Timeout here in Detroit. On 2 championship teams and leading the Pistons here early as we get this Sunday matinee underway. Pacers will return Tuesday against the Golden State Warriors. The rookie Richardson, Gilbert Arenas, who has now moved into the starting lineup alongside of Jason Richardson, and that's a 7 o'clock start on Tuesday. And we have a whistle on the inbound to call against
Cliff Robinson, who was trying to guard Jermaine O'Neal in the post. As you take a look at the next home game,
Isaiah Thomas bobblehead doll. Supplies, by the way, limited, so be sure to get there early to get yours courtesy of Pepsi. And another whistle is called again on Clifford Robinson. Robinson is 2nd personal. Pistons out of the gate missed 6 of their 7 shots, but they've hit 4 of the last 5 to get back in here. But Robinson in trouble. He's playing out of position at center. They'd rather have Wallace at that power forward spot, and now Corliss Williamson is in, who has been instant offense, but it certainly gives the Pistons a different look. They're playing without Zeli Rebraca, the rookie out of Yugoslavia, who is out with a fractured right eye socket, and he is out for a while. Indiana just trying to get this ball in play as Isaiah Thomas now countering. He's taking out Brad Miller, who goes out with 4 points. And Austin Crozier is in to take on Corliss Williamson. Williamson, who came to Detroit last year, the deal for Jerome Williams. And he has been supplying major points off the bench. Artest, as the shot clock goes off, nothing but net, and a 6-point start for Ron Artest, and the Pacers lead it by 4.
Good to see him get out early.
Makes the steal, but
you see, when he gets out early, particularly scoring, it makes his defense, and a lot of players are like that, their defense and intensity, if you will, increases.
At 6'7", 245 pounds, just powering in and then stepping back And an Al Harrington move fading away and putting it in. Williamson quickly takes it to the hoop, and the call against Jermaine O'Neal. So it's the first foul against O'Neal, and the Pacers first.
Yeah, it is the Pacers first. With Jermaine, I think what they want to do is Detroit is try to get him in the foul trouble that he just got Cliff Robinson in. So we may look to see if they go back to him with Corliss Williamson on him.
Williamson, Crozier got a piece of that one. Curry, I think he's filled his quota already. 1 second to shoot. Here's Tinsley on the run, but can't catch up with it. Atkins. Williamson pounds in, and Crozier sweeps the glass. Indiana leading by 4 with the ball, down to 4.5 to go in the first quarter. Tinsley off the screen. Now it's O'Neal. He's been averaging 26 a game over the last 4.
Didn't hurry on that one.
Well, there's a call nothing but net. That was just nothing. Moving the ball around. Wallace, the dump. Stackhouse, who had 32 against Indiana in the last encounter. Ben Wallace with a move. No.
That's a risk you'll take with Ben Wallace making moves.
Detroit now 5 of 17 from the field. A double pump by Artest. He'll try again. Another fadeaway. And Wallace upstairs. He had 15 boards against Boston the other night. Curry on the run. And Michael Curry, an offensive explosion for the 10-year veteran out of Georgia Tech.
He is feeling frisky, running down the floor with great energy. Got 2 dunks so far.
In there specifically for defensive purposes, but the big night tonight or day for Curry. Tinsley gets another assist. And another hoop for Jermaine O'Neal. What a trip for O'Neal. 25 against Philly, 31 against Memphis. And has hit 23 of 34 from the field. There's the strip Artest, and he's going, gone. Oh, he may have been fouled. No call as Stackhouse, surprisingly, with Artest already in there on his back.
I agree with you, Al. I thought there was some contact. Isaiah Thomas, I'm sure, is just pleased to see a good defensive play made by Artest to get him a layup.
We played 9 minutes here today, Quinn, and that's the first turnover in the ball game. And Indiana takes advantage, leading it by 6. Ron Artest with 8 of the 18 for the Pacers. O'Neal over Wallace, and that one wiggles around the rim. And Indiana to an 8-point lead. Pacers coming out focused after losing the first 2. They understand how they gave it away in Memphis, just taking that too lightly and allowed the Grizzlies open shots. Almost stole one in Philadelphia. And then coming in here against Detroit with Jermaine O'Neal, who now has hit 4 of his 6 attempts. 8 for O'Neal, 8 for Artest. A 1-2 punch with Tinsley setting both of them up. He has 3 assists. Curry, that's a little too far out of his range. Now it's Atkins. His range is right out of the locker room. And we have a whistle. Bennett Salvatore will call that one on Austin Crozier. So Ron Artest leading the way. A timeout called here. The Pacers by 8. Pick there. He's had 7 steals in the first 2 games of this road trip. And thought he should have an extra point there, fouled by Stackhouse, but it wasn't called. So Artest has 8. Pacers lead it by 8. They have hit 11 of 23 so far in this first quarter, while the Pistons 7 of 21. So Rick Carlisle searching for some answers, and he puts out the hottest player, hottest shooter in the league right now, John Barry. So Barry is on the floor with Williamson as 2 super subs. Atkins along with Wallace and Curry. Stackhouse getting a rest. Jeff Foster in there for Indiana. Tinsley takes it, turns, and fires out.
Real solid defense by Foster to be able to get himself positioned to play against Corliss Williamson.
Jonathan Bender also making his first appearance. The double pump by Artest, showing you his strength, staying with it. Well, Bennett Salvatore is ready to call a foul on the Pistons, but Monty McCutcheon says it's a traveling violation against Artest.
Well, Artest is going to get the ball inside, and coming from the right side will be... Well, was not quite able to see his feet, but they said he jumped to a stop before he took the second one. Artest with another steal.
Another. Racing with Barry all the way. He'll get the foul this time as Barry goes flying. So
he's going back at him, too. Barry's going back at him. Now, this is the one I don't understand. What is Ron Artest supposed to do? Barry walks over to Artest, disappointed or mad because he gets fouled. Now, both of them get tangled up here. No doubt about it.
And what is Barry mad? Does he think that Artest intentionally tripped him? He's in the middle of laying the ball up. And Bennett Salvatore goes a double T. Now, Isaiah Thomas has a complaint, and he is on top of the official right now. What did Artest do to merit a technical? So John Barry, who took it on the chin, he is a pesky player. But there's nothing that Artest did other than run his play. 10 points now for Artest. And he is starring for Indiana in this first quarter. A couple of steals, and he is riding Barry. And there's a quick whistle on Artest. 10-point lead for the Pacers. Indiana with 20 games to go in a fight for a playoff spot. But they understand with all the new guys coming in how well they played prior to this road trip. And with the talent on this ball club, once you get into the playoffs, Isaiah Thomas, Pat Riley's thinking about that in Miami to get in, and how evenly distributed this Eastern Conference is. Barry with the foul shot. 93% foul shooter. 35 seconds to go. Tinsley the glider. And there is Wallace. 5 rebounds to go along with 3 blocked shots in the first quarter. Barry for 3. He had made 5 in a row before that one. How hot is John Barry? Well, the last 3 games, he had hit 11 of 12 field goals, 5 of 6 from downtown, as well as 10 of 11 from the foul line. So he misses the first one there. Again, they go at one another, Artest and Barry. 2 emotional players, head-to-head. Atkins with the moves at the buzzer, but I believe they're going to call a foul on Indiana.
They'll call a foul on Austin. You can't let the ball go from one end to the other that quickly. You'll see Austin try to recover. You can see, no question about it, left arm hit the head of Corliss Williamson, just because Jamal Tinsley let Atkins get by him. You've got to stay in front of people under those circumstances. Force them to shoot it over the top.
They put 2/10 of a second on the clock, so it's Williamson, who in the Washington game recently, 25 minutes, 23 points. The 3rd leading scorer for the Pistons coming off the bench. And he hits the 2 to put the seal on the first quarter. Pistons struggling from the floor, hit only 2 of their last 11 shots, and on their home floor trail the visiting Pacers by 6 at the end of 1 quarter. And he opens up the scoring with that 2-pointer.
Nice job off the screen and roll, and the reads by Holly that get it to Austin to involve him in the offense.
John Barry, harassed there by Reggie Miller, back in after a brief rest. Kevin Ollie also in the backcourt. Foster, Crozier, and Bender up front. Williamson pinging away. First field goal today.
Well, the Pacers have played it pretty well. If Williamson ends up shooting a fadeaway from the corner with 4 seconds on the shot clock, just has to close out under those circumstances.
And it's Barry bringing it out. Also, Damon Jones, who has been a Pacer killer this season. 3-point threat. Number 14 for Detroit. Indiana with the ball. Looking to beat the Pistons, and Rick Carlisle here in Detroit to deliver a message. They have lost 2 earlier, but that was without Jermaine O'Neal. And these two, as the playoffs began today, Pistons in the 2nd spot, Pacers in the 7th, would meet one another in the 1st round. Indiana understands the blow they could deliver psychologically with a win in Detroit with the total team here against the Pistons this afternoon.
Definitely need to send them a message out to let them know that the Pistons, that you can beat them at their spot.
In low, Williamson, who just has a nose for the net.
Boy, does he ever.
He has scored the last 6 for Detroit. He's done it in 8 minutes. He is kind of a minute man. Scores in a hurry and in bunches. Kevin Ollie releases. So Ollie off the bench. Been bothered with a groin injury. Pacers again by the 8th, 2 minutes into the 2nd quarter. Barry, the wild ride, is dead there by Crozier. So Crozier has already picked up his 3rd personal foul. Only played 8 minutes, and there is John Barry. Came over from Sacramento.
Oh, that's kind of a tough one there, because Austin was charged to the side. I don't know where John Barry was going, but at any rate, Austin picked up the foul.
More inside the bump. And Foster outfights his own man. Now it is Ollie pushing the pace. Wheels outside to set it up. Bender collides with Barry. John Barry has a way of getting in the middle of everything, and they call the foul on Bender. So this is just an example of the testiness of John Barry. Very disruptive on the floor, and he's trying to get now under the skin of the Pacers.
Well, he definitely is trying to do that. Jonathan's not one that usually sets a bad pick. So that was a little tough call.
Pacers certainly contesting that shot by Robinson. Ollie, Indiana trying to get Reggie Miller going.
Well, he actually got Reggie going on the play before. Reggie's happy about the move. Reggie had come off on the screen and made a shot and made the play to Foster. But this would have been perfect, because then it would have been in motion and been hard to recover to him now.
And a double figures lead. Miller on Barry. And inside, Jonathan Bender trying to keep Cliff Robinson from position, and Bender has his 2nd personal. And we have a timeout. Just rubbing his hands together, getting ready to go to work, and he has already today 6 points in 9 minutes. We're talking about how efficient he is. Here's some of the games off the bench this season. The minute man. Look at the points in the minutes. And for the year, he is the 3rd leading scorer for the Pistons, and he does that 13 points in 21 minutes per ball game. He's trying to bang his way in there, and a call against Jeff Foster. So Pacers are having the difficulties with the 2 key guys Quinn you talked about off the bench. John Barry just kind of getting in the way, and Williamson is scoring.
They're definitely having trouble. Isaiah Thomas is going to have to try to get someone that's able to keep either Williamson off the block, which is where he's most effective. Jeff Foster is usually pretty good in that position. Williamson uses both strength and quickness.
Again, they clear out for Williamson to go on Foster. John Barry has tabbed the bench, the alternators, because he says there's an alternator charges the battery, and quite frankly, one of the big reasons the Pistons are 35 and 25 and in 1st place in the Central Division. Reggie Miller, the jackknife jumper, nothing but net, and Indiana has a 10-point lead. The Pistons with just 22 points, 4 minutes into the 2nd quarter. One of the better defensive teams in the NBA. They only give up 92 points per game.
Well, they're 3rd in the league in terms of points given up. So they're very good with that part. The problem that the Pistons are having right now is they're playing against the Pacers and a Pacers team that's playing well defensively.
And the Pacers pace. Both teams have taken over 30 shots already. Crozier Whips it cross court. Ali the fake on Damon Jones. Bender for three. He rises. Now it's Jones bringing it out. Playing on his 18th. And sets up Corliss Williamson. The big nasty cannot be denied. 10 points in a hurry off the bench.
Boy, he is loading up on the Pacers. Bad recognition that time, not knowing where Corliss Williamson was.
And he has 8 of the last 10 Piston points. Ali stops. Crowd wants to travel. Foster, baseline, gets in. So Jeff Foster, whose minutes have been diminished the first 2 games of this trip, only 16 total. And he has scrambled for 4 points. That's his high on this trip. Barry squirts in it with the left hand. And upstairs goes the jumping jack, Mikey Moore.
That was basket interference, I thought, Al. I really thought he got it while it was still in the cylinder, but the officials didn't see it. They just called a foul on the big nasty with a nasty foul.
So Williamson gets his first. And we'll see if Mikey Moore was over that cylinder while the ball was still there.
I think that was on the cylinder. If he doesn't have to move it much to get it back in, that's usually how you can tell it. Because if it's off the rim, they usually have to take it at least 6 to 8 inches. That's on the cylinder. They just missed it.
So Moore gets in there, gets those 2, and goes to the bench. Ricardo was sending in some fresh troops. Stackhouse back on the floor, as is Jermaine O'Neal for Indiana, and Ron Artest, and Tinsley. Williamson, who is making a bid for the 6th-man award this year and gaining some votes in a hurry.
He's sure getting people to look at voting for him, making the kind of offensive presence being felt the way he is here in the second quarter.
And that one wiggles in, so Jermaine once again with the touch. Last couple of games, he's been shooting 68% blistering from the field, and today, 5 of 9, which on normal circumstances, that's pretty good shooting afternoon. Timeout. Detroit unable to hold on, and there's another steal, the 3rd of the ball game for Ron Artest, and we're still in the first half. Bender soars, and he draws the 3rd personal foul on Cliff Robinson.
Boy, he was going to let it fly from about the foul line on his step. You'll see him take it. He's inside there, and he is going for it. Cliff Robinson had nothing he could do but foul. Otherwise, he would have been dunked on in a most
Benderized.
Yeah, benderized is one way to put it.
And Robinson then has to go to the bench. So here's Cliff Robinson, the 2nd leading scorer, has not scored today and has to go back to the bench. Jonathan Bender, and Quinn, he's becoming one of the consistent performers for the Indiana Pacers. 17 against Philly, shaking off the stomach virus that had him down for a couple of games. Robinson will have to watch from the bench, wondering what just hit him. Indiana by 8. They've been maintaining the lead through the entire first half. This call is against Artest. That's his 2nd personal foul.
Now, what will be interesting to see if they go at Artest on Stackhouse or Bender and Williams.
Stackhouse. The pitch by Barry. Stackhouse for 3.
Pacers end up with the ball, but they play pretty good defense. They get it just because it was a long rebound that came off. With Carlisle trying to get his team back up. But 3 shots taken on 3 seconds on the shot clock.
Got no points from Stackhouse, his leading scorer. No points from Cliff Robinson, his 2nd leading scorer. But the bench bailing him out. They have scored the last 14 points for Detroit, trying to keep them in there. Still the Pistons trail the Pacers by 8. Jonathan Bender, and again, that is 3rd. That is, and it was John Barry setting up defensively and bothering Bender.
Jonathan was trying to come over and get position. It's very little push, but Barry did the only thing he could do. He's got him He's got to go down, because if he doesn't go down, he knows he's in a bad position. And Jonathan has got to learn just to take his time when he gets him in that spot.
And John Barry with his smirk once he heard the whistle. John Barry came over to Detroit, a very unpopular deal because the Pistons gave up Mateen Cleave, of course, starred collegiately in this state. And Cleave, of course, not really playing in Sacramento, and John Barry has been lighting it up off the bench. Plus, Detroit got a number 1 in the deal. So they have quickly forgotten about that here in Detroit.
John Barry just got, if you will, just got by one of the best in the business in Reggie Miller, who barely took a tap and danced. Something Rick Carlisle has seen before. They call a foul on John Barry.
Rick Carlisle, of course, who handled the offense for the Pacers under Larry Bird, but has been preaching defense here in Detroit. 4th best in the league. And O'Neal, just as the shot clock was about to go off, it's a dozen for O'Neal in the first half. Pacers have shut out Jerry Stackhouse so far, and he is being shadowed by Artest. O'Neal says, "Oh no," to Ben Wallace. Miller. Indiana with a basket here could take the double figures lead. Oh, gotta be a foul by Wallace, and that could be a flagrant. He took the tomahawk him.
He thought he got fouled on the other end, Al. I don't think there's much question about that. You see this right there. Jermaine comes over, gets his hand over the top, may have gotten a little body underneath, but you see Hack right there, and there's no doubt about that. And he's saying, call it on the other end. But please, he butchered Jermaine on that one. I don't know about that do either.
Well, you know, he changes his do from game to game, and you don't want to mess with Ben Wallace, but he is now 1T of being thrown out of this ball game. It's 6'9" and 240, and he certainly brings a little of the bad boy image back to Detroit. Foster, and Foster draws another foul. Williamson is on his back, and the crowd now on the officials. A couple of calls against the Pistons. Dennis Salvatore, Monty McCutcheon, Leroy Richardson handling the game. And Williamson is complaining that Foster had led initially with that right elbow. He was looking for the call. Instead, Williamson assessed his second personal. It is becoming scrappy. We are getting closer and closer to the playoffs. Here's Isaiah Thomas, a legend in Detroit, coaching the Pistons. Rick Carlisle, an assistant, Indiana, 3 successful seasons under Larry Bird. And he's coaching the Pistons. Isaiah coaching in his second season with Indiana. Stackhouse, first opportunity to get some points. Artest finds out that he is the culprit and is nailed with his 3rd foul. So that is a relief for Stackhouse, who has been engulfed by Artest this entire first half.
Oh, okay. Isaiah Thomas realized he started to put Jonathan back in the game. Jonathan's got 3 fouls because Ron Artest has 3. So it's going to have to be some kind of decision made here. And right now, I think the decision is to leave Ron Artest in.
Stackhouse today missed 5 shots from the floor and has scored his first 2 points from the foul line. He's been shooting 32% from the field, really struggling over the last 4. And he's been playing with got a deep bruise to the right hip, took a knee to the hip in the Washington game on Thursday. Timeout taken. 3 minutes to go in the half. The Golden State Warriors. Then the Hawks come in on a Sunday matinee. Kid Rock, along with the high school boys basketball finals, Later in the month, the Hornets and these Pistons. Conseco Fieldhouse and motocross to wrap up the month of March. Pistons 10 games over 500, 35-25, a half a game ahead of Milwaukee to lead the Central Division. Milwaukee at home today against the Kings. Kings leading that one by 7 in the second quarter. So Foster scrapping through several Pistons, and then it's called for the travel.
Well, he got grabbed. He was trying to get control of the ball, and he got grabbed and just kept going. But they didn't see the grab. They definitely saw the travel. You see Jeff go through there, and then you can see he's got his arm.
He was fouled twice. Once by Stackhouse, once by Williamson. Stackhouse turns, and he is still 0 for the ball game from field goal range. Pacers lead it by 7. They've been in front from the start. Led by Ron Artest with 10, Jermaine O'Neal with 12, Miller from downtown poked out, and Atkins gets it on the run. Barry, the no-look to Stackhouse, and with 2:28 left in the half, Stackhouse scores his first field goal of the game.
Get the ball out quickly that time on the Pacers. Pacers got a big front lineup because both Jermaine and Ron Artest are in foul trouble, so they have Jeff Foster, O'Neal, and Miller in.
The scoop by Reggie Miller. And he has 5 all in the second quarter. Brad Miller playing the first 8 minutes of the game and now getting back. So he comes off the bench fresh. Indiana going big with Miller and O'Neal and Foster. So the Pistons take it outside. John Barry averaging 12 a game over the last 3. Having hit 5 of 6 3-pointers over that stretch. And the first 3-pointer made the afternoon. O'Neal fakes the 3. Sales went up there. Run down by Williamson. A minute and a half left in this first half. Pacers have led by as many as 10, but Detroit whittling away here in the closing minutes of the half. Williamson over O'Neal, and there is Foster again grinding it out inside.
So that's how Pacers' hand looked like what would look like a break. LeBerry got his hand on the ball.
O'Neal double pump, nothing with Wallace. 6 on the shot clock. There's the fadeaway.
Nice play. Jermaine couldn't get it going the first time. He passed the ball out to Reggie. Repulse. Then Jermaine took advantage of it.
Inside the final minute, Pacers by the 6. O'Neal bumping with Williamson. They're going to call Williamson with the foul, and that is his third.
No, I don't think they called that on Williams.
Oh, Atkins.
Yeah.
Atkins gets his first. And it gives the ball back to Indiana. Looking for a quick shot here 35 seconds ago. Try for the 2-for-1. And working to O'Neal with Moore guarding him. Oh, turnaround, and he is there. Smoking Jermaine O'Neal. 8 field goals in 13 attempts. 16 in the first half for O'Neal. And the Pacers lead climbs back to 8. Playing unstoppable basketball. We have a whistle here. Kevin Ollie, who was checked in for the closing seconds. And the first foul on Ollie, but the Pacers over the limit, so presents a couple of foul shots to Stackhouse. He has been shooting left from all over last year, taking about 10 foul shots a game. This season is down to 7. Last year is taking 24 field goals a game. This season down to 18. Last year, second in the league in scoring at 30 per, and this year 22 points, but his team is in first place. Timeout has been taken, and a chance to remind Pacers fans that the Pacers and H.H. Gregg want to give you a 52-inch television. So enter for your chance to win at any Central Indiana H.H. Gregg location, or visit the H.H. Gregg kiosk in the entry pavilion of Conseco Fieldhouse during Pacers games through April 12th. Jermaine O'Neal cannot be stopped, cannot be contained from all areas on the floor. Outside, taking it inside against the defensive ace, Ben Wallace. Getting the block shot at one end. And O'Neal all over the place, making his presence felt as he plays for the first time against Detroit this year. Pacers losing 2 close ball games without O'Neal. Last shot for Indiana.
Gotta go. You're at 6, and that's where you need to go. The man's got a wide open look. Ooh, he's just short. Oh, yeah, as good a look as he was going to get was a play run for him. And as you were saying, he was hot. Missed a wide open shot that is late.
And Ron Artest wishing that he had that shot over again. I don't think Jermaine with a little leverage, but it has been the 1-2 punch. O'Neal with 16, Artest with 10. Indiana leads.
Ron Artest, Ron Stackhouse, is one or the other. At any rate, we have to keep an eye to see what happens because you're talking about the right guy. Jerry Stackhouse, I believe, here in the second half is going to try to make up for that 1 of 7 shooting. We'll see if the Pacers can keep that down.
And Indiana starts with the basketball here in the second half. Miller heaves a 3. And O'Neal. The front court of the Pacers have outscored the front court of the Pistons 30-8. And there is Artest from deep.
That was a no, okay. After it went in, because you're early in the shot clock shooting a 3, Artest was able to get it to go down.
Wants to put that 3 up. He was shooting 40% from downtown, coming over from Chicago. Robinson looking for his first field goal, and he's got it.
I think the most important thing is the Pacers allowed in the first half 1 quarter of 18, 1 quarter of 22 points by the Pistons. They've got to continue that. Hard to do it if you let too many fast breaks happen.
Indiana only 4 turnovers in the first half. Atkins for 3. Pistons continue to fire it up. Stackhouse out wrestles Tinsley. Robinson looking for the foul, forced it after the bump. Tinsley ahead of the field. O'Neal. And out is Jerry Stackhouse. To Robinson. Oh, he was wide open. Instead, sends it to Curry. Now here's the defensive ace, Curry. Robinson, their second leading scorer, passes up an open shot to Curry, who now has 8 points.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing you were. Pacers had to be happy with that pass, but Curry made the shot anyway.
Artest off the screen. Remember what he's saying for Jermaine O'Neal at the end of the half? A little more on that shot. That's exactly what Artest needed. Pacers come in a record of 30-32 in the 7th spot. Playoff position in the Eastern Conference. Pistons at 35-25, leading the division. So right now in that 2nd spot in the East. Robinson, way upstairs goes Ben Wallace. And Atkins for 3.
Second shot, second chance points. Costing the Pacers now.
Well, only 1 3 was hit in the first half. Each team has hit a long ball here in the second. O'Neal rocking, squeezing through, and draws the foul.
Well, I think they gave it. Did they give it to Robinson? That would be his point.
They did. Ben Wallace quickly raising his hand, knowing he had only 1. But Robinson, who's just trying to get his scoring going, instead gets his 4th personal foul. First foul shot of the day for O'Neal, and doing his work in his range.
Close to the basket, which is where he needs to do it because he is very good within 15 feet. But he's putting the Pistons in a bit of a trick bag, if you will, because they've got to go a long time now without Robinson, who scores well for them under normal circumstances and is a good defender.
So Robinson fuming on the bench, but it makes way for Corliss Williamson, the only Piston in double figures. He struck for 12 points in the first half in his 17 minutes. The move by Wallace And the call against Brad Miller. So Miller gets his first personal foul. Curry will put the ball in play. Detroit has had actually 3 different seasons. They started 14-6 mid-December in first place. The early surprise, but most felt that they would not keep it up. Just got off to that good start, and they would then lose 13 of the next 16.
Nice defense on that particular play.
Tinsley trying to get the fast break going, but Atkins had a grip on the basketball. Rick Carlisle, who's really kept a cool demeanor during that losing stretch, and quite frankly, Pistons turned it around coming to Indiana, beating the Pacers. And since then, they've won 18 and lost just 6 to move past Milwaukee in the lead in the division. Atkins, no look. Williamson, not expecting it. Whipping the ball on the outside. Stackhouse moves in. Oh, and O'Neal cannot hold on. 3 Pacers were there.
Pretty solid defense, too, on the last 2 possessions. They got a 3-second call on one, and then a tough shot taken there, contested. Jermaine just lost it.
Reset of the 24-second clock. Atkins directing traffic. Wallace picked up by Brad Miller. Atkins.
Got to cover him out. You have to cover him as though he's going to shoot it on the catch, not on a dribble.
So Atkins back-to-back 3-pointers, and the Pistons to within 2. Tinsley stops and pops. Second field goal for Jamal Tinsley. And Indiana by the 4. Tinsley with 3 assists in the first half, and he got those in the first few minutes.
Sure did.
Stackhouse and Artest.
Artest needs to stay solid, not foul here. Just challenge the shot.
Stackhouse way off this afternoon. 1 of 9 from the field. Tinsley working on the smaller Chucky Atkins. O'Neal. Brad Miller trying to get a touch. 2 seconds to shoot, and Miller walks it in.
Nice job with some patience offensively on that one to get Miller in for you. As you said, he literally walked to the basket, legally, mind you.
So Indiana bounces back with 4 straight points after the Pistons close to within 2. This could be called on Tinsley, his first foul of the game. That's the second foul on Indiana. Isaiah Thomas back in the Detroit area. Williamson gets the step and goes past the basket for the reverse.
Nice job. Open up quickly, baseline on Jermaine O'Neal. And you're right, use the rim to protect, to go to the other side.
Midway in the third quarter, Indiana back home Tuesday night against the Golden State Warriors, a team that has played well on this road trip. Tinsley, so he has hit his last 2 shots, taking it on Chucky Atkins. Golden State losing last night by 2 in Dallas after beating Houston. And Jason Richardson starting to turn it up. Slam dunk winner in Indiana Tuesday. He had 32 the other night in Houston. Ben Wallace carrying the load for the Pistons, and he has been the glue player for this team and the rise in the division. Jonathan Bender is back in. Indiana with the ball, the lead by 6 minutes left in the third. Tinsley, a man of many moves. Atkins seeing several of them there.
Got a double foul on, I believe, Corliss Williamson and Brad Miller on that play.
So that would be his former ball club, the Detroit Pistons. Atkins this time sweeps inside. Williamson. who is always hanging around the hoop.
Pacers have to block out and rebound. But if you get it, what happens is when the point position gets beat so decisively, someone comes to help. It causes for rotation. Hard to get back and block out on a man.
Got 4 seconds.
Yeah.
Tinsley for 3. And there is our test to gobble it up. O'Neal, no, but had several Pistons leaning on him. So Jermaine O'Neal at 6'11", 242, hammering away inside. The foul's on Jerry Stackhouse. And O'Neal is back at the foul line. Pacers are trying to avoid the defeat, which would send them 3 under 500, which would be a first this year. Now, remember, last year at this time, with 19 games to go, Pacers were 27-36, 9 games under the 500 mark, and that's when they made their run. They would win 14 of the last 19 games to get into the playoffs and send a little bit of a scare into those Philadelphia 76ers in the first round. 20 today for O'Neal. Miller resting on the bench. Atkins, the penetration and the dish. Stackhouse wheels and deposits. Only his second field goal of the afternoon. Stackhouse is averaging 22 a game, but over the last 13 games, he has been held under 20 on 8 occasions. Very unlike Stackhouse numbers. Tinsley heating up in this third quarter, where he has 6 of his 8 points. And the Pacers able to maintain the lead, trying to withstand this push by Detroit. Jonathan Bender into the hands of Tinsley. Here come the Pacers again, coming down to 4 minutes in the third quarter. Tinsley zigging, zagging, and drawing the foul. So Atkins, who has that quick foot speed, but finding it still very difficult to stay with the magician with the basketball.
Right, Jamal does a pretty nice job. He backs up and he stands Atkins up and then goes again, and that's when Atkins has to reach in order to keep Jamal from going to the basket.
O'Neal from deep. And the board swept by Wallace, who has his 11th rebound to go along with 5 blocked shots. Atkins has hit 2 threes. He has hit 6 in 3 different games this year from downtown. And has taken 240 this season. So trying to hit the home run against Indiana. Brad Miller has the size and draws the foul on Williamson, and that is his 4th. And Rick Carlisle feeling the heat because it's been Williamson who's kept Detroit in there with his offense.
Well, one of the things that put Williamson and the Pistons in some problem is when Robinson gets his 4th, they have to put Williamson in the game a lot earlier, which exposes him to being tired and potentially getting himself into foul trouble.
So now Williamson and Robinson each with 4, and both on the bench. 3.5 to go. Detroit just got smaller on the floor. And there's a whistle
on Curry, trying to guard Brad Miller. They wouldn't let him go on the post, and Brad was smart enough to move, make it hard for Curry to try to defend it.
And that will be foul shots now, with the Curry at 210 pounds, giving 50 pounds away to Brad Miller. So go figure, Quinn. Here's Detroit. They average 93 points a game, worst rebounding team in the league. The leading scorer shoots 41% from the floor. 2 starters who essentially don't score. A roster of cast-offs and a rookie coach. And a starting lineup with 3 players who were undrafted by the NBA, and they're in first place in the division.
The East is a little bit like that. I think you'd have to agree. But I'd have to say Rick Carlisle has done a good job in getting these guys to buy in, and particularly on the unselfish offensive and, collective defensive position.
And I think sometimes you could get that cast-off scenario to work for you, as they certainly have rallied together, and the chemistry has been terrific, and it's been all around defense. They give up only 92 points per ball game, and they have played incredibly hard and have been very good late in close games because they have the experience. We talked about the 3 guys up front with 32 years of NBA experience. That's 11 rebounds and 6 block shots to go along with 5 assists. He has a triple-double this year with 10 block shots in that game to go along with 10 points and 17 rebounds. Leading contender for Defensive Player of the Year. Undrafted out of Virginia Union in his 6th season. And here he is trying to do it on the offensive end.
Gee, he not only traveled, he hammered Brad Miller coming over the back. But we must have a better perspective than those with the whistles.
It's got to be that. Tinsley making the move, and Atkins having difficulty here in this 3rd quarter, staying with the talented master of the dribble, Jamal Tinsley. 3rd foul on Atkins. Isaiah Thomas will make a move, getting ready to send in Jeff Foster. And Tinsley, who had back-to-back games of 28 against Memphis and 30, a career high against Orlando, and starting to put the numbers up here in the 3rd quarter. He had just a field goal in the 1st half. He has added 3 field goals, a couple of foul shots, and he now has 10 points, becomes the 3rd Pacer in double figures behind O'Neal, who has 20, and Artest with 13. Bender all over Barry.
Pretty solid defense.
And Tinsley calling for the ball.
Yeah, he wants to make sure Brad Miller gives it up after the Pacers did a good job defensively, cutting off all angles, including Jonathan Bender getting a nice position.
Pistons for the first time seeing the Pacers with a roster that is deep and has the size and the strength and the power. Artest looking for a second 3. And the Pistons outside of Wallace have to go small ball now with Robinson and Williamson in foul trouble. Trying to reach in was Tinsley, gets his 2nd, and Isaiah Thomas making a change as Tinsley will go out, replaced by Kevin Ollie in the final minute. .101 left. And Ollie, who has played only 6 minutes, comes in off the bench. This will be against Detroit, against Stackhouse, who sends Artest flying.
Artest was over here moments ago, a little bit of teetering emotionally. He gets across to the other side. You can see a little dive.
Well, he's just reading John Barry's book. That's all. Just a page out of the book of John Barry. Final minute of the 3rd. Foster, double team, still looking. Just put the ball out there.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did. He put it out where nobody could get. That's no way. That is, if it's 2 shots, you can't give it to him. There's no. I agree with Isaiah. If it's 2 shots, then he jumped into it because he was at the 3-point shot, the 3-point shot line. And you know what? Isaiah told him that, and the official just said, "Good point." Watch when he tries to pull up. He's at the 3-point line. Well, he's standing on it. But watch what he does. That's a no call at best.
Instead, it's a call against Jeff Foster, 2nd personal foul. And John Barry will get a couple from the foul line. And he carries the Barry name very well from the line. 93%. And he sinks those. 5 points separate these 2 teams. Indiana trying to strike for the first time this year against the Pistons. They have lost 2, 1 here and 1 in Indiana.
Good play.
Brad Miller passed the basket. So very quietly and efficiently, Brad Miller now starting to hammer away. 10 points for Miller.
Ollie, nice job getting in the teeth of the defense to get Brad in position.
seconds to go. Oh, just in time. Michael candy out.
Well, with Reggie's in the game. I think Kevin Ollie will look to get it to him. So that'll be our choice here in the fourth.
All right, and if Reggie hits that first field goal in the fourth, Candy will win on RCA Color TV. The setup for Ben Wallace. And the Pistons to within 2. Damon Jones, who has hurt the Pacers in each of the first 2 games of this series, and especially the fourth quarter. And the turnover.
Offensive foul on Jermaine O'Neal. They called him moving on the screen. He was trying to set for Reggie Miller.
Second foul on O'Neal. So Detroit will have just 2 field goals out of Jerry Stackhouse, 1 out of Cliff Robinson, but now with an opportunity to tie it. Robinson is back in with the 4 fouls, and he is stuffed by Jeff Foster. Tough defense by Foster, who's on the floor with Jermaine O'Neal, Jonathan Bender, Reggie Miller, and Kevin Ollie. Pacers have led throughout. Scored the first 4 points of the ball game. Detroit has never been in front.
And the Pacers need to really just try to win the quarter here.
Indiana led by as many as 10. Ollie the fadeaway, and he rattles the rim.
Got pushed underneath. He was trying to get it to Reggie. That's why he was pounding the ball so long. Jonathan actually came open first.
Detroit has made a couple of runs, repelled each time by Indiana. There is Curry with the left hand. And Michael Curry exploding today. He has a season high of 13.
Opens up on Jermaine O'Neal. I'm sorry, on Jonathan Bender. Goes baseline. There's contact. The officials felt it was an issue initiated, if you will, by Jonathan Bender. At any rate, Curry was 13, looking for 14.
Bender's 4th foul. Well, on this trip, there's been a pattern that has developed. Somebody has stepped up and hurt the Pacers. Rodney Buford in the Memphis game. Eric Snow, career-high 25 in Philadelphia. And today it is Michael Curry, who averages 4 points a game. He now has 14.
And I'll tell you what, Pistons defense has stiffened up a little bit, and the Pacers are starting to get a little more stagnant offensively. You've got to, when pressure is on you, start beating people and force the defense to do a little bit more reacting to you. Isaiah Thomas with a little switch here.
Kevin Ollie comes out. He hit the field goal in this fourth quarter. Pacers had just 1 field goal in the last 4.5 minutes of the third. So that is when this drought began. Detroit now in position to take the lead for the first time.
Which means the defense that the Pacers have talked about, and you and I talked about at the top, has to show up here in the fourth quarter.
9 on the shot clock. Robinson forces, and Reggie Miller grabs the ball. Pacers still hold the lead. The Pistons now trying to turn this around with Jerry Stackhouse on the bench with just 7 points. Hensley cannot hold on.
Tough pass. Reggie tried to throw it, and just at the last second, Damon Jones just took the vision momentarily away from Jamal Tinsley, and Jamal lost concentration on the ball.
Detroit has won 20 of their 29 games at home. Lead to Wallace, and the lead to Detroit. John Barry setting it up. The crowd coming to life here at the Palace of Auburn Hills. O'Neal going to work. The flop by Wallace, but it works. O'Neal slapping the ball down. Isaiah Thomas watching the theatrics on the floor, but O'Neal gets his 3rd foul.
It's Ben Wallace. We talked about him being on the defensive end. Here's where it shows up. There, calls the offensive foul by Jermaine O'Neal.
Timeout. Early in the fourth quarter, closing out this 3-game road trip for Indiana. Artest steps into it. Got it.
Stepped into, I think they called it a 2, but it was a long one.
But they'll take it. 15 today for Ron Artest. And Indiana by the 1. Barry weaves inside. And Foster clears the glass. And here's Tinsley racing out. Tinsley wheels in. Sets up O'Neal. No foul. And Foster with a flush.
Goes down the way you have to go down, strong, because Wallace will play aggressively. Foster there to pick it up and finish it.
Pacers by 3. Foster getting the most playing time he's seen on this road trip. Damon Jones directing the attack now for Detroit. Robinson. 3 on the shot clock from behind. Reggie Miller deflected it. Now it's Tinsley. 3 on 2. The scoop to the Foster. And Jeff Foster running the floor.
Showing you some of that versatility running the floor.
Curry is called for the foul.
Foster involved on this particular play. You see right in front of Wallace. Takes no chance. It's Jeff Foster who throws it hard. Tinsley finding the trailing Foster here. Can't quite get it down. Goes to the foul line for 2.
And an area that Foster right now working on from the foul line, 63% this year.
That's a good look there. I mean, you can see it in Jeff. If he comes out of it in one piece, you can almost tell. Sometimes he gets a little reluctant or a little hesitant to let it go in one piece.
The only Pacer who's played every game this year. 63rd game that Foster has appeared. He has played well in the first 2 games against the Pistons. 22 rebounds in those 2. Reggie Miller getting a rest.
A little bit of a rest because Pacers are trying to get something going on the other side. They reset the shot clock.
And that is the discussion as Jermaine O'Neal, he's in a block fest here today with Ben Wallace. O'Neal gets upstairs, and they're almost a nice save.
They're going to say that that was a possession on the save. They're trying on the save. They're saying that's a possession, so they let the reset stay. That's a tough call because Jamal was saving it inbound.
This is on Foster, and it gets Isaiah Hoppins.
Isaiah's biting his tongue, moving our table. But Jeff Foster, well, Isaiah Thomas is just trying to tell Jeff it was great. It was good defense. The officials.
Yeah, and Isaiah saying it right in the right earshot of the official. Williamson, Barry for 3. And here's Raleigh. And he'll go to the foul line. Cliff Robinson had to hustle back to get number 5 to stop Ali from the layup.
Isaiah Thomas has got a club looking for opportunities. Ali tries to see if there's going to be contact, but he puts pressure on Robinson to make a decision as to whether to try to stop him. He does and fouls.
Well, next Sunday, Pacers will host the Atlanta Hawks at Conseco Fieldhouse, and the first 3,000 kids 15 and under will see a Jeff Foster growth chart, courtesy of Milk and the Indiana Pacers. So get your tickets at Ticketmaster or shop online at Ticketmaster.com. The veteran Ali sinks the 2 foul shots, and Indiana Pacers, after the Pistons have taken the 1-point lead at 71-70, have stormed back with 8 straight points. The hard drive by Barry. And the tip
by Corliss Williamson, who followed after Barry got to the basket.
18 for Williamson to lead the way for Detroit. Jermaine O'Neal has 20 for Indiana. Tinsley guiding the attack. In traffic, taken away. On a low pass. Tries to save, and he does. Artest Whips it right into the hands of Barry. So back and forth on turnovers. Stackhouse back on the floor for Detroit. And another steal.
Settle it down. Settle it down. Reggie Miller's up saying, hold it. Settle it down, please.
Let's break the cycle. Indiana with the possession after the exchange of several turnovers. O'Neal and Wallace. Wallace won't budge. And Jermaine has to take the deep jumper.
He settled for that one. That's what Wallace wants you to take. You can't settle for a jump shot like that. You need to get in the post.
Terrific ball game here today in Detroit. Pacers looking to issue a message to the right now first place Pistons. And also help their position in the playoff race. 20 points for Williamson. Indiana with the ball, holding on to the three-point edge. Tinsley off the screen from O'Neal. Atkins gets a piece of that one. 5 seconds to shoot. Tinsley for three.
Boy, I'm telling you, Rick Carlisle has seen enough of that. Tinsley gets it blocked and somehow gets it to drop from three.
As the shot clock was ticking down, Tinsley with 13. Pacers by 6. With the Golden State Warriors, 7 o'clock at Conseco Fieldhouse. A couple of days off, and then in Minnesota against Kevin Garnett and company. On Friday, back home Sunday afternoon against Atlanta, a week from today. And then on the road to Charlotte and Miami. 2 big games, both the Hornets and the Heat putting on the heat. Going into today's game, Indiana in 7th, Charlotte just a half game behind. Miami has moved to within a game and a half of Indiana. Atkins cuts inside. Wallace with a tip. Reset. Atkins uses just one of those seconds. Gobbled up by O'Neal.
Pacers really got a break on that one because you're right. Atkins had a wide open look and Wallace thought he had the rebound and just knocked it down. Fortunately for the Pacers, it came back.
It's a day in which Stackhouse has shot 2 of 12. Robinson 1 of 9, the 2 top scorers for Detroit. Reggie Miller looking to deal a dagger, but they cannot connect. Meanwhile, Michael Curry is at 6 of his 7 shots and has a season-high 14 points for the Pistons. Here's Stackhouse, been held to just 7 points, and a lot has been Ron Artest squeezing him. John Barry continues to miss. He's missed 3 of his 4 3-pointers. He had come into this game having hit 5 in a row. Law of averages catching up with John Barry. So the Pacers, again, with the ball, trying to extend the 6-point lead. And Reggie Miller unable to hold on. Down to 4:04 left.
Reggie thought he had a play because he was going baseline, and I'm not sure if he thought he was going to shoot it or if Jermaine's man was going to come, he's going to pass it. At any rate, Pacers have 14 turnovers to the Pistons 11.
That is off the foot of Ben Wallace. And Tinsley is fouled in the backcourt by Barry. Well, Rick Carlisle has seen a lot of close ones this year, and one of the reasons the Pistons are 10 over is they have shown the experience and pulled out many of those. Isaiah Thomas is with the youngest team in the NBA. Even on this trip, they were leading early against Memphis in the 4th quarter. They were leading by 3 points late against Philadelphia in the 4th quarter and losing those games. So once again, we get down to a situation where we move into the final minutes, but Indiana very happy to see Ben Wallace go to the bench. Miller tucks it inside to O'Neal.
That's one you got to get in, though. O'Neal gets fouled after Reggie got it to him, but that's one you need to get in, put it down.
Williamson's 5th personal foul.
See, Reggie gets it over there, and Williamson comes in, and he gets Jermaine pretty hard. I know that's a high standard, but that's the standard you got to put yourself to making those kind of 3-point plays, because that puts a lot of pressure on Corliss Williamson and the Pistons coming back.
Good day from the foul line for Jermaine O'Neal. And he has now hit 6 of 6 from the line. Ben Wallace, who came into this ball game talking about the fact that the season is catching up with him, and he just has tired legs, fatigue coming into this. But just showing you the warrior that he is, Wallace with 13 rebounds and 6, well, check that, 8 block shots as he sits on the bench.
The ball fake there. Contact, they call a foul on Jermaine. Jermaine thought he got there and contact was made by Robinson. I don't think so.
First foul shot today for Robinson, who's 1 of 9 from the field and has just 2 points. He averages 14 points per ball game. Austin Colger, Kevin Ollie on the bench. Isaiah Thomas looking for his first victory this season against the Pistons. And Cliff Robinson misses the 2. So Indiana with a chance to open it up by 10. With the clock sliding closer to 3 minutes. O'Neal banging, fading. Small lineup in there for the Detroit Pistons. They need points, and they need them in a hurry. Robinson way off the mark.
And one of the things the Pacers can only hope that Robinson, having set out, is out of sync because he really hasn't been in the game because of fouls. Pacers have to find a way to get stops and get 2 more scores, and they really put a lot of pressure on the Pistons.
Pistons know they're in trouble because offensively they're now relying on Michael Curry.
I would tend to agree with that. Jermaine's got to go up.
Gives Detroit another opportunity, but so far Pistons cannot find an answer on offense. Well, it's Williamson even cooling down since the first half. He'll try again, and that is short. And a vicious rebound by O'Neal, who then is pushed out of bounds. But they'll call a timeout.
No, they didn't get it. They got to travel.
Oh,
Jermaine.
So Detroit gets the ball. So much to pick from.
92-90. Stockton front court. Stockton straight away. Stockton faking. Stock drives right side. Go underneath. Flips. Fires it back to Danielle. Stock's away. Danielle picks it up. Shots an air ball. Stock's got it. Lay it up. Score it. John Stockton. Stockton with 12 points. The score 92. We're tied. 2 seconds. Right side for 3. Francis, he made it. He made it with 1 second left. 1/10 of a second. Unbelievable. Rockets up 3. Steve Francis racing down the right side. Pulled up and made it. They were heading for the locker room. But there's 1/10 of a second left and a chance to take a timeout. Wow. What action here on the...
But that's the way it goes sometimes.
Well, week 9.
Here's the shot by Francis for 3 at a dead center as he tickled the twines without hitting the rim. Stockton came out, but too late.
Unbelievable shot now. This is not just a 25-footer. That's a 30-footer. And you just don't expect it. With the range that these young guys have nowadays, I mean, that looks very easy. Nice, comfortable shot for Steve Francis, who only has 16 points and has not been very offensive-minded tonight.
22 points to Memphis and 109 to Philadelphia. But holding Detroit so far to 77 as we move inside the final 2 minutes. Pistons had missed 8 straight field goal attempts. Before that, by Robinson. Miller for 3.
Had no choice to take it. Got a bad position. Jeff had the ball with 7. Reggie tried to make a play.
Ben Wallace back in. Barry past the basket. Squeezes through. He has 11 points. And back-to-back hoops by the Pistons have sliced the 8-point lead in half. Tinsley goes up and throws the foul. Number 4 on Atkins. Williamson now on the bench. He's been their top scorer with 20. And Tinsley, who has hit his first 2 foul shots.
So So here we go. Rest inbound. Nothing left. Right corner. Stockton grabs, throws it, but the game is over. They were not accountable.
Put it away. And 2 clutch shots by the rookie. 15 points for Tinsley. And the lead is 6. Wallace rejected. Tinsley gets in the way. Atkins has hit a few threes already. Wallace. Well, if you're going to send any Piston to the foul line, that's the guy you want to send up there. But it's the 5th foul on a very hot Jermaine O'Neal.
I have not seen him that mad before, boy. He was intense. You can see there'll be effort all over the place. Jermaine got held and pulled out of bounds and then tried to get back in it. I think that's what disappointed him so much. That's why it is that official, Monty McCutcheon, that he goes after, because it's in that direction.
Ben Wallace, a 43% foul shooter, and this is one of his better seasons. On our Chevrolet hustle board, Pacers have taken the edge in rebounds, and Wallace has 8 of those 10 block shots. Jermaine O'Neal has 3 for the Pacers.
Cliff Robinson just fouled out.
And we'll go to the other end of the floor, and instead of a 4-point game, Wallace misses the 2, and Indiana with a foul. Rick Carlisle doesn't like the numbers now because the Pacers could take an 8-point lead with 50 seconds remaining in the ball game, and looking to send the Pistons to their 3rd loss in the last 4, and Pistons will play the next couple of games at home, then go on a 5-game road trip, starting in Milwaukee, and then the next 4 out west. So the Detroit Pistons, who started hot, faded, and then have come back strong, having won 18 of their last 24. But it may be a rough month. Pacers, if they hold on, actually, will move 5 games behind the first-place Pistons, who they will meet in Indiana March 26th. To Robinson, fouling out. 6 personals. He hit only 2 field goals today in 11 attempts. Stackhouse 2 of 12. They combined for 11 points. O'Neal 7 of 8 from the line, 23 points to go along with 14 rebounds, his 8th consecutive double-double and 32nd of the season. Timeout Detroit, 7-point game, 50 ticks left. Each other and bonding as they move towards a playoff spot, but they've learned tonight again that it all starts on the defensive end. They've held the Pistons to 79 points, looking to squeeze Detroit in this ball game.
They've been active, chased out on Atkins on this one. Wallace comes up with it. Jamal Tinsley tries to get the ball and then make sure that he gets a foul on Ben Wallace to send Wallace to the foul line instead of an easy putback.
Ben Wallace this year has taken 173 foul shots, and he's missed 99 of them. Closures in for the final 37 seconds. Last year he shot 34% from the line, so this is a major progression for Wallace, who will have 1 more. But you look at the rest of his game today, 16 rebounds with 8 blocked shots and 5 assists.
He was very active as Isaiah Thomas is using the extra time to make sure he clearly explains what he wants on the other end.
37 seconds to go.
That's short.
And a 6-point lead, but they get the rebound. And Williamson hits ever since Phoenix, when the Pacers led by 5 with 29 seconds to go. There is just a whole different look at final seconds of games. Artest waiting to get fouled, and there is Wallace to help him out. 31 seconds, and for Pacers and Isaiah Thomas, that clock moving very, very slowly.
Also slowly when you allow somebody to get a rebound off a free throw. There's really no excuse for that.
Pacers 17 of 18 from the foul line in the second half, while Detroit is 4 of 9. And Indiana continuing to help themselves at the foul line. Foster, the feisty one, is in for the final 31 seconds. Austin Crozier comes out. So Indiana with Tinsley and Miller, Reggie Miller, Artest, O'Neal, and Foster up front.
Foster for Austin Crozier, because when you go to the defensive end, you want Foster in. He's a good rebounder. And then coming back the other way, if you have Austin in, you have a good foul shooter.
16 for Artest. Detroit has the ball. 30 seconds on the nose. Available Ticketmaster, or just jump online at Ticketmaster.com. Will the Pacers be bringing this significant win home with them? 5-point lead, 30 seconds. Numbers are the same in Phoenix. See if the Pacers learned from that experience. Upstairs goes O'Neal.
And they give it to the Pacers. Foster was chasing it out.
And Indiana has the ball. And now see if Pacers can get it into the hands of Reggie Miller. Something that wasn't able to happen in the game in Phoenix.
Oh!
And it's stolen. Barry goes in. Oh, almost had a three-point opportunity.
Yeah, you cannot throw the ball that way in a lob fashion on this end, which is your defensive end, because you're throwing right into there. Oh, he made a mistake and was stepping in. But at any rate, you can't do that. He and Reggie have got to link up better, Al. I mean, if they make better eyesight, a better contact, so they'll know where it's going. Still wants to make it exciting.
Well, John Barry can now make it a one-possession game. 19 seconds to go. And it appears as if the clock just isn't moving. 87-83 Indiana. John Barry, the hero in the game against Washington 2 games ago, when he hit a three-pointer at the buzzer to win it by 3. And he cans the 2 from the foul line. Full court pressure here by Detroit. Tinsley looking to turn it. And the foul on Stackhouse over the shoulder of Crozier. Reggie Miller now talking to Tinsley. Indiana with their point guard, rookie Jamal Tinsley, and has been put into that situation several times this year of making the inbounds pass. Back to that New Jersey game when he wasn't able to inbound in 5 seconds. Put Indiana in trouble. But Tinsley, every game a learning experience, and here tonight, again, the difficulty getting it in.
What he and Reggie learned is, first of all, Reggie's got to come to it. Jamal has got to snap it. But sometimes you get caught in the position as a staff with who is the guy that's best able to get it in, because what are your options of the other guys that are taking it out? And if all the other guys are good foul shooters.
The steal by Artest.
Well, they got it in the right hands. Now, that's it. And I really don't think they want to foul.
This will be it. They knew the numbers with Reggie Miller handling the ball. That's what the Pacers have been trying to do, get into the hands of Reggie Miller. And the Indiana Pacers are going to do it. They hold on. They were behind for only moments by 1 point. Withstand the pressure of the first-place Detroit Pistons on several occasions. Pacers did not score a field goal in the last 5 minutes, but able to put the Pistons away at the foul line. And a major victory.